In the vast expanse of the universe, where countless worlds drifted like grains of sand in an endless cosmic ocean, there existed a species whose name alone struck terror into the hearts of civilizations across galaxies. The Zithri were not merely conquerors or invaders. They were apex predators on a galactic scale, their dominion stretching across star systems and nebulae. At the heart of their empire stood their queen, a being whose very presence commanded awe and obedience from even the most hardened warriors. The Zithri queen was no ordinary ruler. She was a towering figure, her body encased in shimmering, iridescent armor that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Her elongated limbs ended in razor-sharp claws capable of slicing through reinforced steel as easily as silk, while her multiple eyes glowed with an intelligence that had evolved over millennia of conquest and survival. Most formidable of all was her telepathic ability, a mind so powerful it could crush lesser beings with a mere thought, leaving them broken and compliant. For centuries, the Queen's reign had been absolute. Entire planets had fallen before her armies without resistance, their leaders either surrendering immediately or being obliterated when they dared to oppose her will. The Zithri war machine was unmatched, combining biological perfection with technological advancements that made their weapons seem like instruments of divine wrath. Their ships, sleek and menacing, could traverse light years in moments, appearing unexpectedly above unsuspecting worlds to deliver swift judgment. Yet despite this overwhelming power, something unusual began stirring within the Queen's consciousness, a sensation she hadn't felt in decades: unease. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly, during routine scans of newly discovered territories. Reports from scout vessels kept mentioning encounters with humans, primitive by interstellar standards yet curiously resilient. These creatures occupied a small blue planet at the edge of an insignificant spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, but their influence was spreading rapidly throughout nearby sectors. What troubled the Queen wasn't just their expansion, it was how they fought. Unlike other species who crumbled under pressure or surrendered after witnessing the Zithri's might, these humans displayed an alarming tendency toward defiance. They adapted quickly, learning from every encounter and growing stronger each time. Their technology, though inferior, showed remarkable ingenuity, often turning apparent weaknesses into unexpected strengths. And perhaps most disturbing of all, they possessed something intangible, an unyielding spirit that refused to be extinguished, no matter the odds stacked against them. As more reports filtered back to the Queen's flagship, detailing human victories against supposedly superior forces, she found herself pondering questions she'd never considered before. Why did these fragile beings continue fighting when logic dictated they should submit? What drove them to risk everything rather than accept the inevitable? These thoughts gnawed at her, creating ripples of doubt in a mind accustomed only to certainty and control. One day, while reviewing holographic projections of recent battles, the Queen noticed something peculiar about human warriors. In the heat of combat, surrounded by chaos and death, they moved with a grace and determination that seemed almost supernatural. Their faces, captured in fleeting images, bore expressions of calm resolve mixed with raw ferocity. There was a fire in their eyes, a spark of something ancient and primal that resonated deep within her own genetic memory. This realization unsettled her further. For the first time in her long existence, the Queen felt a twinge of fear, not for herself, but for her people. If humans continued to evolve at this rate, unchecked and undeterred, what would become of the Zithri Empire? Could her mighty race, which had dominated the stars for generations, face extinction at the hands of these relentless upstarts? Determined to understand this threat better, the Queen ordered her flagship to enter orbit around Earth itself. She wanted to see these humans firsthand, to study them up close and uncover the secret behind their tenacity. As her vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, cloaked in invisibility fields designed to mask its presence, she prepared herself mentally for whatever lay ahead. Little did she know that this decision would lead to an encounter that would challenge everything she believed about strength, courage, and survival. The Queen's arrival on Earth went unnoticed by most humans, thanks to advanced cloaking technology that rendered her massive vessel invisible to radar and visual detection. However, the planet's surface teemed with life, bustling cities and sprawling landscapes filled with activity. From high above, she observed the intricate web of human civilization, marveling at how such a seemingly chaotic system functioned with surprising efficiency. Streets were lined with vehicles of various designs, buildings reached skyward in architectural feats that spoke of ambition and creativity, and communication devices connected millions instantaneously. Her attention soon shifted to military installations scattered across continents. Training grounds buzzed with activity as soldiers drilled tirelessly, honing skills that would serve them in battle. Among these warriors, one figure caught her eye, a lone man standing apart from his comrades, exuding an aura of quiet confidence and authority. He moved with precision, executing maneuvers with fluidity that suggested years of disciplined practice. His physique, though not overwhelmingly muscular, hinted at endurance and agility, qualities essential for prolonged engagements. Through enhanced surveillance equipment, the Queen zoomed in on the man's features. His face bore scars earned in past conflicts, testament to experiences that had shaped him into the warrior he was today. Eyes sharp and alert, they scanned surroundings constantly, always aware of potential threats. Yet, beneath the hardened exterior, there flickered a warmth, a humanity that intrigued her deeply. This paradox captivated her, drawing her focus entirely upon him. Deciding to test her theories, the Queen initiated a controlled experiment. Using subtle manipulation of environmental factors, she orchestrated a scenario where danger loomed over the unsuspecting soldier. A sudden storm brewed unnaturally fast, dark clouds gathering ominously overhead. Lightning cracked violently, illuminating the landscape in stark flashes. Despite the escalating peril, the man remained composed, adapting swiftly to changing conditions. He sought shelter strategically, utilizing natural formations to protect himself while maintaining vigilance. Watching this display of adaptability and resilience, the Queen felt a chill run down her spine. This human, facing nature's fury unleashed by her hand, demonstrated qualities that transcended mere physical prowess. His ability to remain calm under pressure, think critically, and act decisively revealed layers of strength that couldn't be measured solely by muscle or weapon proficiency. Each decision he made, each step he took, echoed with purpose and intent, reinforcing her growing apprehension. As hours passed, the Queen continued her observation, noting interactions between the man and fellow soldiers. Bonds forged through shared hardship radiated authenticity and loyalty, elements alien to the hierarchical structure of Zithri society. These connections, based on trust and mutual respect, empowered individuals to perform beyond their limits, driven by collective goals rather than fear of retribution. Such unity posed a significant threat to any adversary, including her own formidable race. Realization dawned upon her with unsettling clarity. The true power of humans didn't lie in their technology or numbers. It resided in their spirit, an indomitable force fueled by emotions and relationships. Fear, once foreign to her as a concept affecting her personally, now crept into her consciousness. The prospect of confronting such resolve en masse challenged the very foundation of Zithri dominance. What if these humans, individually strong yet collectively unstoppable, decided to push back against her empire? The implications weighed heavily on her mind, casting shadows over previous certainties. She had always viewed conquest as inevitable, a natural order maintained through superior strength and ruthlessness. But here stood proof that different paths led to victory, paths paved with courage, camaraderie, and unwavering belief in ideals worth dying for. As the Queen absorbed these revelations, tremors of uncertainty rippled through her being, shaking the bedrock of her existence. The tremors coursing through the Queen's body intensified, transforming from faint vibrations into full-blown shivers that shook her imposing frame. Never before had she experienced such a visceral reaction to another being. It wasn't merely fear of the unknown or apprehension about future conflict. This was something deeper, more primal. The human warrior below represented everything her species had suppressed in their relentless pursuit of power and control. He embodied freedom, choice, and the capacity for genuine connection, qualities that had been systematically eradicated from Zithri culture over countless generations. As she watched him interact with his companions, sharing brief moments of levity amidst intense training exercises, the Queen felt an unfamiliar ache in her chest. Her own upbringing had been devoid of such warmth and camaraderie. From birth, Zithri warriors were conditioned to prioritize duty above all else, their emotional responses carefully calibrated to ensure maximum efficiency in battle. Any hint of vulnerability was swiftly eliminated, replaced by cold calculation and ruthless pragmatism. Yet here was a species thriving on precisely those elements her kind had forsaken. The realization struck her with devastating clarity. The humans' greatest strength lay not in their weapons or strategies, but in their humanity itself. Their ability to form bonds, to care for one another, created a network of support that amplified individual capabilities exponentially. This interconnectedness fostered innovation, encouraged risk-taking, and inspired acts of heroism that defied logical explanation. In contrast, the Zithri operated as isolated units, each member striving to outperform others in a perpetual competition for status and recognition. A wave of nausea washed over the Queen as she contemplated the implications. If the humans continued along their current trajectory, unchecked by external pressures, they might eventually surpass even the mighty Zithri Empire. Their emotional depth provided motivation far beyond what fear or ambition alone could achieve. Love, loyalty, and hope drove them to accomplish feats deemed impossible by conventional standards. These intangible forces proved far more potent than any technological advancement or tactical superiority. But it wasn't just admiration mingled with dread coursing through her veins. There was also envy, a burning jealousy that threatened to consume her from within. How could beings so physically frail possess such inner fortitude? How did they manage to maintain their spirits despite overwhelming odds? The answers eluded her grasp, slipping through mental fingers like water through a sieve. All she knew was that this human warrior, standing tall amidst chaos, held secrets crucial to understanding not only humanity's resilience but also her own limitations. Each passing moment spent observing him deepened her turmoil. Memories surfaced unbidden, fragments of her youth, long buried beneath layers of conditioning and indoctrination. She recalled fleeting instances of tenderness shared with siblings before protocols mandated separation, ensuring detachment became second nature. Those rare moments of genuine affection now seemed like distant echoes, haunting reminders of what she'd lost in exchange for power. Tears pricked at the corners of her multifaceted eyes, though none fell. Crying was another vestige of emotion purged during early development stages. Still, the sensation persisted, adding to the maelstrom raging inside her. For the first time in centuries, perhaps millennia, the Queen questioned the foundations upon which her entire existence rested. Was domination truly the pinnacle of evolution, or had her people sacrificed too much in pursuit of supremacy? These thoughts swirled chaotically, threatening to overwhelm her senses. Every fiber of her being screamed for retreat, for escape from this revelation that undermined everything she believed in. Yet she remained transfixed, unable to tear her gaze away from the scene unfolding below. The human warrior moved with purpose, engaging in mock battles with peers, laughing heartily after narrowly avoiding simulated attacks. Each interaction reinforced her growing conviction. Humanity's strength derived not from brute force but from emotional connections forged in adversity. And then, as if sensing her scrutiny, he paused mid-motion, head tilting slightly upward. Though impossible given the cloaking technology enveloping her ship, the Queen felt exposed, vulnerable. Had he somehow detected her presence? The notion sent fresh waves of panic rippling through her already agitated state. Instinctively, she activated additional shielding measures, reinforcing barriers meant to conceal her vessel. Yet the feeling lingered, gnawing at her composure until she realized it wasn't external detection causing her distress, it was internal recognition. This human warrior, separated by vast distances and irreconcilable differences, mirrored aspects of her own soul long suppressed. He reminded her of possibilities discarded, choices unmade, paths untaken. In doing so, he forced her to confront uncomfortable truths about her species, her leadership, and ultimately, herself. The trembling increased, becoming almost uncontrollable as conflicting emotions battled for dominance within her psyche. Fear, admiration, envy, longing, all vying for attention, demanding resolution. Forced to acknowledge her vulnerability, the Queen retreated momentarily into the recesses of her mind, seeking solace in familiar routines. She accessed data streams detailing past victories, replaying holographic recordings of conquered worlds bowing before her might. Visuals of defeated enemies, their spirits crushed under relentless assaults, usually fortified her resolve. Today, however, they offered little comfort. Instead, they highlighted stark contrasts between those vanquished races and the humans currently occupying her thoughts. Where others had faltered, succumbing to despair or capitulation, humans persevered. Where fear typically paralyzed adversaries, driving them to surrender prematurely, it spurred humans onward, fueling their determination rather than dampening it. This fundamental difference baffled her, challenging preconceived notions about effective leadership and sustainable power structures. Perhaps brute force alone wasn't sufficient to maintain control indefinitely. Maybe understanding, empathy, and genuine connection held keys to longevity previously overlooked or dismissed outright. Struggling to reconcile these opposing perspectives, the Queen oscillated between fascination and revulsion. On one hand, she yearned to learn more about this enigmatic species, to delve deeper into their psyche and unlock mysteries surrounding their success. On the other, primal instincts urged immediate action, eradication before humanity's influence spread uncontrollably, threatening Zithri hegemony. Caught between intellectual curiosity and instinctual preservation, she wrestled with decisions carrying monumental consequences. Every heartbeat echoed louder than thunderclaps, reverberating through chambers housing millennia of accumulated knowledge and experience. Yet none provided satisfactory solutions to the conundrum facing her now. Traditional methods relied heavily on intimidation and annihilation, tactics proving increasingly ineffective against adaptable foes like humans. Alternative approaches required re-evaluation of core principles guiding Zithri governance, a daunting prospect fraught with uncertainty and potential backlash. As minutes stretched into hours, the Queen grappled with mounting anxiety, each breath labored, each movement deliberate. Physical manifestations of her inner turmoil grew more pronounced, muscles twitching involuntarily, claws clicking rhythmically against metallic surfaces. Even her telepathic abilities fluctuated erratically, broadcasting fragmented thoughts across nearby regions of space. Normally adept at controlling such emissions, she found herself powerless to stem the tide of unfiltered consciousness spilling forth. Below, oblivious to the turmoil brewing above, the human warrior continued his routine, unaware of the seismic shift occurring in the heavens. Oblivious, yet somehow connected, as if threads of fate intertwined their destinies inexorably. Whether friend or foe, ally or adversary, one thing remained certain. Their encounter marked a pivotal moment in galactic history, heralding changes neither fully understood nor anticipated. Deep within the labyrinthine corridors of her flagship, the Queen paced relentlessly, her mind a tempest of conflicting thoughts and emotions. The image of the human warrior haunted her every step, his presence lingering like a phantom that refused to dissipate. She needed answers, clarity, anything to make sense of the turmoil churning inside her. Summoning her highest-ranking officers, she convened an emergency council, determined to dissect the situation from every conceivable angle. The chamber hummed with subdued tension as elite commanders filed in, their armored forms casting eerie shadows against the dimly lit walls. Each carried centuries of battlefield experience, their reputations forged in blood and conquest. Yet today, they entered with trepidation, sensing the gravity of the circumstances. None dared speak until the Queen addressed them directly, her voice cutting through the oppressive silence like a blade. "We face a dilemma unprecedented in our history," she began, her words measured yet laced with urgency. "These humans, they defy logic, challenge our understanding of strength and survival. I require your insights, your perspectives, to navigate this crisis." One by one, the officers presented analyses, drawing upon extensive databases cataloging human behavior and military tactics. They discussed patterns of adaptation, noting how humans consistently turned disadvantages into opportunities. Advanced simulations demonstrated scenarios where conventional Zithri strategies faltered against human ingenuity. Despite initial setbacks, humans regrouped, learned, and counterattacked with renewed vigor. This resilience puzzled even the most seasoned strategists. However, it wasn't just strategic acumen that concerned the Queen. Emotional dynamics played a crucial role, according to psychological experts brought into the discussion. Humans operated on multiple levels simultaneously: physical, mental, emotional, each influencing outcomes in unpredictable ways. Loyalty, friendship, love, these abstract concepts fueled actions beyond rational explanation, propelling individuals to extraordinary feats. Such complexities rendered traditional Zithri approaches ineffective, requiring radical shifts in methodology. A particularly insightful commander proposed integrating elements of human psychology into Zithri training programs. By fostering rudimentary forms of bonding among troops, perhaps similar synergies could be achieved. Others countered vehemently, arguing that diluting their pure warrior ethos risked undermining centuries of refinement. Debates erupted, voices rising in heated exchanges, reflecting the broader existential crisis gripping the council. Amidst the cacophony, the Queen listened intently, absorbing diverse viewpoints while wrestling with personal demons. Could she embrace aspects of humanity without compromising her identity? Was assimilation feasible, or would it lead to cultural dilution, eroding the very fabric of Zithri society? These questions gnawed at her, compounding stress already threatening to overwhelm her faculties. Physically, the strain manifested visibly. Her once pristine armor bore scuff marks from restless pacing, claws leaving faint scratches on polished floors. Telepathic emanations fluctuated wildly, occasionally disrupting sensitive equipment monitoring vital signs. Medical drones hovered discreetly, ready to intervene should her condition deteriorate further. Yet pride prevented her from acknowledging weakness openly, forcing her to endure privately while projecting an image of stoic resolve externally. Emotionally, the burden weighed heaviest. Memories of past triumphs offered scant solace now, tainted by newfound awareness of alternative paths. Regret seeped in, coloring recollections with shades of doubt and second-guessing. Had victories come at too great a cost? Were sacrifices justified if they stripped away essence, leaving hollow shells in place of vibrant beings? These musings tormented her, adding layers of guilt atop existing anxieties. Despite mounting pressure, the queen refused to yield to despair. Determination burned fiercely within her, tempered by emerging empathy. Perhaps, she reasoned, understanding humanity's strengths didn't necessitate abandoning her own heritage entirely. Balance might prove achievable, blending best practices from both cultures to forge a new paradigm. Hope flickered tentatively, a fragile flame struggling against winds of uncertainty. Turning back to her council, she issued directives aimed at exploring hybrid methodologies. Research teams received orders to investigate human social structures, focusing on mechanisms fostering unity and cooperation. Tactical divisions experimented with modified training protocols incorporating team-building exercises alongside traditional combat drills. Intelligence agencies ramped up surveillance efforts, gathering data on human innovations likely to impact future engagements. Simultaneously, diplomatic initiatives gained traction. Secret negotiations commenced with select human factions, testing waters for potential alliances or truces. While official channels remained closed due to ongoing hostilities, covert communications hinted at possibilities previously dismissed as fantasy. Bridging divides seemed daunting, yet not entirely implausible given shifting dynamics. Throughout these endeavors, the Queen maintained constant vigilance over developments, scrutinizing progress reports with meticulous attention. Successes, however minor, bolstered morale, offering glimpses of light piercing through encroaching darkness. Failures served as harsh lessons, prompting recalibrations and refinements. Each cycle brought incremental improvements, inching closer toward equilibrium between opposing forces. Yet underlying tensions persisted, simmering beneath surface achievements. Resistance pockets emerged within Zithri ranks, voicing dissent against perceived compromises. Traditionalists rallied around purist ideologies, advocating return to tried-and-true methods eschewing foreign influences. Their arguments resonated with segments unwilling or unable to adapt quickly enough to evolving realities. Faced with internal strife, the Queen adopted conciliatory measures, addressing concerns through open dialogues and transparent decision-making processes. Transparency proved challenging, given ingrained secrecy norms, but necessity dictated adjustments. Gradually, opposition softened, albeit reluctantly, as tangible benefits materialized from implemented reforms. Externally, relations with humans remained fraught with challenges. Misunderstandings arose frequently, exacerbated by linguistic barriers and cultural disparities. Patience wore thin on both sides, leading to sporadic flare-ups of violence. Nevertheless, tentative bridges formed, connecting disparate worlds through shared interests and mutual benefits. Trade agreements facilitated exchange of goods and technologies, fostering interdependence beneficial to all parties involved. As months rolled by, transformations became evident. Zithri warriors exhibited subtle shifts in demeanor, displaying nascent signs of camaraderie reminiscent of human bonds. Morale improved noticeably, translating into enhanced performance metrics across various operations. Conversely, humans adjusted expectations, recognizing value in collaboration over confrontation. Trust, though fragile, began taking root, nourished by consistent efforts toward peaceful coexistence. Still, uncertainties loomed large, casting long shadows over burgeoning partnerships. Would integration succeed fully, or collapse under weight of irreconcilable differences? Could two vastly dissimilar species truly harmonize, or destined forever to clash amidst stars? Questions lingered unanswered, echoing through corridors of time awaiting resolution. In the midst of these profound changes, the Queen found herself increasingly drawn to the human warrior who had sparked this cascade of events. Through continued observation, she discovered his name, Kale, and learned more about his background. Born into a family of farmers on a remote colony world, Kale had chosen a life of service after witnessing the devastation wrought by earlier Zithri invasions. His journey from humble beginnings to becoming a respected leader among his peers fascinated her, highlighting qualities she admired yet struggled to comprehend fully. Kale's leadership style differed markedly from Zithri norms. Rather than commanding through fear or hierarchy, he inspired through example, earning loyalty through deeds rather than decrees. Stories circulated among his unit about times he'd risked life and limb to save comrades, demonstrating selflessness uncommon in Zithri culture. Such tales resonated deeply with the Queen, stirring dormant desires for connection and purpose beyond mere domination. Driven by curiosity bordering obsession, she authorized covert missions designed to bring Kale closer to Zithri's spheres of influence. Disguised operatives infiltrated human networks, planting seeds of opportunity leading inevitably toward convergence points. Whether through chance encounters or orchestrated events, destiny seemed poised to intertwine their fates irrevocably. Anticipation built steadily, anticipation tinged with apprehension. What would transpire when warrior met monarch face to face? Would sparks ignite flames of understanding, or explode into conflagrations consuming hopes of harmony? Only time held answers, ticking relentlessly forward toward inevitable collision courses charted by stars themselves. High above Earth's atmosphere, the Queen's flagship hovered silently, its cloaking technology rendering it invisible to all but the most advanced detection systems. Inside, the air vibrated with an electric tension as preparations unfolded for what could potentially alter the course of galactic history. The Queen herself oversaw every detail, her multifaceted eyes scanning readouts and holographic projections with an intensity that silenced even her most trusted advisors. For weeks, her intelligence officers had been orchestrating a series of calculated maneuvers, manipulating events on Earth to create a plausible scenario where Kale, the human warrior whose presence had so profoundly shaken her, would cross paths with the Zithri forces. The plan was intricate, designed to appear coincidental yet unavoidable. A sudden surge in Zithri reconnaissance activity near Earth's moon drew attention from human defense networks. Simultaneously, a critical supply convoy carrying vital resources for Kale's unit was rerouted through a narrow corridor of space highly susceptible to ambush. The timing was precise. Just as Kale led his team to intercept the convoy and ensure its safe passage, a squadron of Zithri fighters would emerge from hyperspace, ostensibly responding to the increased activity near the moon. The ensuing skirmish would force Kale into direct contact with the alien forces, setting the stage for his eventual encounter with the Queen. As the operation unfolded, the Queen monitored the situation with bated breath. Her flagship sensors tracked every movement, every decision made by Kale and his team. She watched as they coordinated flawlessly, their communication channels buzzing with terse instructions and rapid-fire updates. Kale's voice, calm yet commanding, cut through the chaos, directing his squad with precision born of experience. Even now, knowing that he was walking into a trap of her design, the Queen couldn't help but admire his composure. There was no hesitation in his actions, no trace of fear despite the overwhelming odds stacked against him. When the Zithri fighters finally engaged, the battle erupted with ferocious intensity. Plasma bolts streaked across the void, lighting up the darkness with bursts of searing energy. Kale's unit responded with remarkable agility, weaving through the barrage with practiced ease. Shields flared as they absorbed impacts, buying precious seconds for counterattacks. The Queen leaned forward in her command chair, her claws digging into the armrests as she witnessed the spectacle unfold. Every move Kale made was calculated, every shot fired deliberate. He wasn't just fighting to survive, he was fighting to protect, to safeguard those under his command. It was a philosophy alien to Zithri warfare, where individual glory often overshadowed collective welfare. Despite the odds, Kale's team managed to hold their ground, inflicting significant damage on the Zithri squadron. But the Queen had anticipated this resilience. With a silent command, she dispatched reinforcements, elite shock troopers equipped with experimental weaponry capable of breaching even the most advanced human defenses. As these new adversaries entered the fray, the balance shifted dramatically. Kale's shields began to falter, his movements growing more desperate as he tried to shield his comrades from the relentless assault. It was then that the Queen made her move. Activating a secure channel, she transmitted a message directly to Kale's helmet comm system. Her voice, modulated to sound neutral yet authoritative, filled his ears. "Cease resistance, human. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now, and I shall guarantee the safety of your team." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Kale momentarily stunned. Around him, the battle raged on, but his mind raced with possibilities. Who was this speaker? What did they want? And why single him out specifically? After a tense pause, Kale responded, his tone steady despite the turmoil surrounding him. "Identify yourself. If you're responsible for this attack, you'll answer for it." The Queen allowed herself a small smile, unseen by anyone aboard her flagship. His defiance was expected, yet thrilling nonetheless. "I am the Queen of the Zithri Empire," she replied, letting the weight of her title sink in. "You have impressed me, human. Your courage, your leadership, qualities I wish to understand better. Lay down your arms, and I will grant you audience aboard my vessel." For a moment, there was silence. Then, with a mixture of disbelief and determination, Kale gave his answer. "If you want to talk, fine. But harm my people, and you'll regret it." The Queen nodded approvingly, though he couldn't see her gesture. "Agreed. Stand down, and we will discuss terms." Reluctantly, Kale signaled his team to disengage, trusting that whatever awaited him aboard the alien ship would be preferable to continuing the hopeless fight. As the firing ceased, Zithri boarding parties approached cautiously, securing the area before escorting Kale and his surviving teammates onto a transport shuttle. The journey to the flagship was surreal. Kale sat rigidly, his eyes darting between the armed escorts and the view screen displaying the vast expanse of space outside. His mind churned with questions, scenarios, and contingency plans, but outwardly, he maintained an air of stoic resolve. Beside him, his comrades exchanged worried glances, their usual bravado muted by the gravity of their situation. They were prisoners, yes, but alive, a fact Kale intended to leverage fully during negotiations. Upon arrival, Kale stepped off the shuttle into a cavernous hangar bay bathed in soft, pulsating lights. Towering Zithri warriors stood at attention, their forms casting long shadows across the metallic floor. At the center of the room, elevated on a dais, awaited the Queen herself. Her presence was overwhelming, her size and regal bearing commanding instant respect. Clad in shimmering armor that seemed to ripple with latent energy, she regarded Kale with an expression that was both curious and calculating. "Welcome, Kale," she said, her voice resonating with power yet tinged with something softer. Perhaps intrigue, perhaps something else entirely. "You have proven yourself worthy of my attention. Tell me, what drives a human such as yourself to stand against an empire as vast and mighty as ours?" Kale straightened, meeting her gaze without flinching. "We fight for freedom, for our right to exist without fear of annihilation. Your empire may be strong, but it lacks something essential, humanity." The Queen tilted her head slightly, considering his words. "Humanity," she repeated softly, as if tasting the concept for the first time. A word laden with meaning, yet elusive to define. "Explain it to me, Kale. Teach me what it means to be human." Thus began a dialogue unlike any other, a conversation spanning hours yet feeling like mere moments. Kale spoke of love, loss, friendship, sacrifice, themes that resonated deeply within the Queen, stirring memories long buried beneath layers of conditioning. In turn, she shared glimpses of Zithri history, revealing struggles and triumphs that painted a picture of a species driven by survival at all costs. As they talked, guards maintained a respectful distance, allowing the exchange to flow naturally. Occasionally, Kale's teammates chimed in, offering perspectives shaped by their unique experiences. Together, they wove a tapestry of human emotion and resilience, each thread strengthening the bond forming between warrior and monarch. For the Queen, it was a revelation, a window into a world she had dismissed as weak and chaotic, only to find strength and beauty hidden within its complexity. By the time the discussion concluded, Both parties recognized the significance of what had transpired. Kale had planted seeds of change within the Queen's mind, challenging long-held beliefs and opening avenues for potential cooperation. Meanwhile, the Queen offered assurances of protection for Kale's people, pledging to explore peaceful resolutions to ongoing conflicts. Though wary, Kale accepted her promises, trusting that true understanding required patience and perseverance. As they parted ways, Kale couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter marked the beginning of something monumental. The Queen, too, felt a shift within herself, a transformation sparked by a single human warrior bold enough to stand before her unafraid. Their paths, once destined to collide in violence, now intertwined in a dance of diplomacy and discovery. Whatever the future held, one truth remained clear. The stars themselves bore witness to a new chapter unfolding, written by hands once sworn enemies, now reaching tentatively toward common ground.